I also have a saying that I follow when it comes to releasing content, is that everything needs to be everywhere, always. And if that sounds confusing, that's kind of the point.
I've heard that somewhere.
Yeah. I think I made it up. But in layman's terms, what that means is your content needs to be as many places as possible, as often as you can. That is something I do believe in. Like, I do try and release content on every single platform every single day. It is hard. It's very hard. And sometimes it's not very rewarding. But it is something I believe because there is an audience on every single platform. And they all have different variables. So you got to kind of tweak a strategy. Like, if your Facebook strategy is going to be very different towards your RSS strategy, which is going to be insanely different to your TikTok strategy, which is completely different to your LinkedIn strategy. But you do need content on all of those different platforms, pretty much. I mean, if you're doing an unprofessional podcast where, you make fart jokes and you curse a lot, maybe not the best place for LinkedIn, but it's good for everywhere else.
I think there's kind of a different level of feed tolerance.
Yes.
For every platform, where it just becomes annoying. LinkedIn, I think maybe lowest tolerance.
Elaborate.
Well, TikTok, in my opinion, flood TikTok.
Yes. Absolutely.
Flood TikTok.
Yep.
Put as much content as you want. If you put, a new video every hour, whatever. That's what the platform was designed for just mass viewership and virality and watchership. I think I was gonna say viewership. But maybe don't do that on LinkedIn. Maybe if you have an email list, don't email people a new podcast episode, twice a day.
Right.
There's different pain tolerances for depending on the platform.
Right. But when I say everything needs to be everywhere always, I mean you need to be doing all of those things. Like, you need Twitter, you need Facebook, you need LinkedIn, you need TikTok,
Absolutely.
You need email, you need distribution, you need all of these things in order for your podcast distribution to be successful. Because the more places it is, the more likely it's going to be seen.
Definitely.
And the more likely it's going to be seen, the more likely it's going to be enjoyed. The more likely it's going to be enjoyed, the more likely you're going to subscribe. And if they're everywhere, you want to be connecting other devices. So if you're posting on LinkedIn, if it's a YouTube video, post a link to the YouTube so they can go subscribe to the YouTube. It's right there. Or post a link to your the thing on iTunes. Or in the iTunes description, make sure you source out to your Twitter and source out to your TikTok. And on TikTok, put lower thirds and subscribe to your Instagram. Right? Like, everything is connected. And what's good for someone, like if someone watches my TikTok and goes, oh, they gone there on YouTube, someone's going to go great and hit subscribe. Someone's going to go yuck and then swipe next. But that's the same thing with anything. You can't really predict that in podcasting. It's just throw it out there and hope for the best at times.
But once you do, once you see the results, you can make small tweaks.
Exactly. I make tweaks all the time. You just got to find something that works. Once you find something that works, stick with it. But something that definitely works, if you are launching a podcast, this is something I learned in the past few years. If when you are launching, launch with 3 episodes on day 1 release. That is very, very important. And on top of that, I would have 1 or 2 more scheduled for release that are 100% done. And the reason for that is, 1, it's more likely that iTunes is going to pick you up for the new and noteworthy. Because if you have one podcast and you have 3 different options, the audience can pick and choose which one they like. And if they like one, they're more likely to go listen to the other 2 and then subscribe, as opposed to if it's just one, they might just subscribe, or they might just forget about it. But if there's 3, and listen to all 3, and they like all 3, they're very likely to subscribe, and they're very likely to review, and most likely get you boosted in that iTunes algorithm. So.
Nice. Algorithm talk.
Yeah. So this will give your audience a chance to know your podcast and your style. If they like it, they're more likely to continue listening. If they don't, then you know what? They already know. But it's easier to have them listen to more and stay for more than listen to 1 and hope and fingers crossed they come back. And you have 2 in the bank to buy yourself some time to create more and release more. Like, I like for talking with Tarashuk, I like to, I would prefer to have 2 weeks ahead, whereas I have one released on Wednesday, next Wednesday scheduled, and then that week I'm editing the one to be released 2 weeks after that. That's the ideal goal. Doesn't always work out, but that's what I push for. And having 2 in the bank can give you that breathing room to keep on producing.
And I like that point, because just because you have a set schedule doesn't mean you need to actually be doing the podcast on that release schedule.
Yeah.
Meaning if you release once a week, that doesn't mean that you actually have to do it once a week. Maybe you start off doing it once a week, you do 2 1 week, and now you're 1 week ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And then, release accordingly.
Yeah. But definitely on launch, it's most important to release 3. Don't release like 8 or 9 or 10 or the full season, because then you're booking yourself into a corner. It's just like, well, now what? Right? Once it's all released, then there's no that season format and like releasing or this one a week or whatever. It like that's the problem Netflix had.
I'm going to say this isn't Netflix binge watch.
Yeah.
Totally different thing.
Yeah, you don't typically binge podcasts. At least I don't. People on average listen to probably 2 or 3 podcasts if they subscribe to podcasts, which means in their app, it's a feed. It's their own individual built-in feed. That's why I like Stitcher so much, which we're gonna get into in a little bit.